Hello everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to our series on the Websockets child application. In the previous video we have set up the basics, so we have set up the basic front-end and back-end logic, and in this video we will develop on both ends. So here we'll work on support for multiple clients and on support for multiple types of messages. Okay, so in order to do that, what we need to do is, first, we start on the front end. So we go to our script.js file. And here, once we actually connect, we want to send, instead of this test message, we want to send a little bit more specific message. Let's create, instead of a message here only, let's create here a type, or outside a type. And instead of the test message, let's here add type connect. We'll have messages with different types, so they will all go to the same server. However, the server will have a logic that differentiates between the different types of messages. Okay, and let's currently make this a little bit more organized because we have it all over the place for now. Let's make it a function, make Websockets, and let's close everything here that we have inside this function. Let's put this function at the end. And here we know that, okay, we are connecting to our WebSocket. Then we are sending a connect message. So just to say to the server that, hey, we have connected. And then we have the onMessage listener, which listens to us, or listens to any messages that we get and then prints them out to the console for now. Okay, so now when we connect, we should send a connect type message. Let's maybe save it right here, save it on the backend. Let's refresh our application. Okay, here we get an error. And it's because here we need to make this function asynchronous if we want to await something. Okay, that's good. Now we should be connected. Let's check out so here we did not see it. If I refresh it on the right hand side, we still see no messages, and it's because I did not call the function. Okay, let's refresh it here, and we see that we have received on the backend here a message with a type connect, and the response is undefined because if you remember here we have the message.message, and message no longer has a message key, it has a type key. So now we received connect response, and this is how it should look like. Okay, so we managed to send a first type of message from our front end. So from our client to our server. And we now know that once we receive the information, that we received the information from a very particular client of us. So let's say if message.type is equal to connect, then what we want to do is we want to define a handler for our connect message. So essentially a piece of logic that will handle the connect message. And here what we can say is that we want to add it to our list of available clients or currently connected clients. And how we make the list is, what we need to do is we need to define something called a map. And what's a map? A map is just a dictionary, or dictionary will be in Python. In JavaScript, you'd rather say an object that we can iterate over. That's the first thing. And the second thing, we can have an object as a key. And this is very common because what we'll now do is if we receive a connect type message, what we will say is we'll say clients.set, and it has standard set, get, and delete methods, clients.set. And then use WS, and in WS we have all the connection details necessary to communicate with the WebSocket client. And then we'll save the metadata of a user. Now, what is a metadata of a user? Metadata of a user what we will store is, if you remember there, we wanted to have a color, and for now that's it. Later on, we'll also add the username logic, but not for now. So what we will do is I'll go down here. I'll go down here, or maybe let's even get out of this WebSocket server, and here I will define a function, and the function will be called create new client. It will take, for now it will not take anything. Later on we'll add here a username. So what it will have is, it will have a color. How we will generate the color is, here I will generate a random number between 1 and 360, and then I will just use HSL to incorporate this color. So let's just say math.random times 360, and basically this is it. And now we'll say const metadata equals, for now it will be only color. And basically saying something like this is an equivalent of saying color is color. This is just slightly quicker way of creating objects that have the values, that take the values from the same name variables as the keys. And here we want to return the metadata. Metadata. Okay, so here we can now call the function. We'll say const metadata equals create new client, and here we'll save the metadata to our client's map. Okay, so that's good. And what we want to do is, now that the user has connected, we want to notify every client that is currently connected to our application that a user has connected to our application. So what we need to do is, we need to go down here and we need to define a next function. What this function will do is, it will send messages, or send a message to all clients. And as an input, it will take clients, so the client's map, and then a message. So first, let's validate the inputs. So basically, if clients instance of map, so basically if clients is not an instance of map, we will return just console.error, and here incorrect clients value. Let's maybe guard clauses are nice, but however, if you can't see them, that's not good. Okay, let's continue. Let's validate maybe a message. So if we don't have a message, we'll return console.error message to message is missing, or message to send is missing, and then if the message.type is missing, return, not return, first parenthesis and then return console.error error type of message is missing. I don't want to throw errors here because I don't want to stop the application. And then what we will do is I will begin an array here, and this is one of the few places in JavaScript where you actually need a semicolon. I don't use semicolons because there's no point. No, but to be honest, there are a few places where you have to use them. This is one of them, so I need to have a semicolon right here. Here I will basically destructure the clients.keys iterator. So this returns an iterator, and we could, for example, iterate it over it with 4. However, here what I will do is I will say clients.keys, and this will create an array for us, and I will say for each. And now it will take a client, and for every client, what we'll do is we'll say client.send JSON.stringify, and then the message. Okay, so basically we have validated the inputs here, and now what we'll be doing is we have just wrote a short piece of code that will take the message that we have here, will iterate over all the keys of our client's map, and all the keys of our client's map, if you take a look here, are the WS objects. And the WS objects are the objects that we use, or the instances of a class that we use, for example, to send messages to our client, right? So here we are using ws.send and then something. Okay, so this is fine. And now let's use it here. Let's go in here. And after we add our, so after we add the client that has connected to the clients, we can send a message to our clients, or let's maybe actually do it beforehand. We can send a message to all clients that basically a client has connected. So let's maybe define some connect message here. It will be of a type. Let's also stick to perhaps the connect type, connect message equals, of course, connect type, and then body new user has connected. Okay, we'll send this connect message right here. So basically the reason is that we define the message first, or we send the message to all clients first, is that we don't want to send this message to the client that has just connected. Okay, so that's it. If we have a message of a type connect, let's maybe very quickly check that. I will try to pull up another browser window here. There it is. I managed to do it somehow. So what we are expecting is that when we connect with one of the user, or let's first connect with the bottom one, right? So here we have seen that there was a connect message sent, and now what we expect is that when we connect with this user, this client with this client at the top, the client at the bottom receives a message that a new user has connected. And here we can see basically exactly this. We have received an information that a new user has connected. Okay, that's good. So what we see now is that we have the communication working, right? So that we do an action with one client, and then the message is sent to the server, and the server notifies all other clients. That's good. And we already established the logic for connecting to our WebSockets. Let's currently work on the main logic of our application, which is the sending of messages. So for this, we'll need to do some work on the HTML side, because we'll need to design our form. So we go to our client.html file, and here we will write a short form. In here, in this box, we say form, and then in this form, what we want to have is, we want to have an input of a, let's maybe here use new lines for this, and we want to have a type, type of text. We want to have a name of chat message. We want to have, let's say, class that we'll use later on. Let's call it, for example, input text. And what I like to do is I like to add a placeholder so that we do not need to add a label. And the placeholder will say type your message here. And then 3 dots. And that's it. That's it from the input. And then we want to have a button. And what the button will have is, it will say send. And as of the attributes, it will have an ID of, and here we'll say, we will say perhaps, we don't need to give it an ID yet, maybe we'll need it in the future. Let's just give it a class then. Class of button, and then button send message. Okay, let's put it on the line, and that's it. Let's refresh this application at the top, and now we have a form here. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to add functionality to this form so that when we submit it, it will actually not be submitted, but it will be picked up by our WebSockets. For this, we'll definitely need an ID here. Let's give it an ID of form chat message, And what we can still do is we can set the autocomplete to off. So if you write a chat message, I refresh it. As you've seen before, I got some proposals here, but now I don't. And I think if you write chat messages, you usually don't want them. Okay, so now let's go into our scripts file, not into our make WebSockets function. Let's actually move that to the top so that we see what's happening better. And now let's write the logic that will actually pick up the submission of our form. What we need to do that, let's go in here. Let's say we'll need to first get our chat message form. So let's say chat message form. And we can select it by saying document.querySelector and then use a hash and form chat message. I believe this was the ID we have used here. In the form chat message, let's copy it just to be sure. And it was it. Okay. So now what we do is we just say chat message form.addEventListener, and we'll want to listen to submit. And when it's submitted, we will call a callback function. So first of what we'll do is we'll say form.preventDefault so that it will not actually be submitted. And then we'll extract data from this form. You can do that very easy. You just say const data, or you can say let data, whatever. New form data class. So you create an instance of a class, and here you say chat message form. You actually input the form here, and this will return to you something that you can very easily use. And basically, we'll see. So basically, chat message, and then we want the type of the message to be a message. And then we want also the body of the message to be our actual message, so data.get. And then we want to get from the data, we want to get a chat message. So here we have our chat message, and now what we need to do is we need to say probably, and I just realized we need to move this part into here so that it actually, so because here we need, what we need an access to is we need an access to this WS. So we need to say ws.send, then json.stringify, and inside this JSON we want to say connect, or not connect, but we want to say chat message. So basically what we did here is we have added an event listener to our chat message form. If we submit it, then it prevents it being submitted. We extract the data from the form and we use the data. So we then send the data to our WebSocket server. And one more last nice thing that we can do is we can say const text input. And here we can say document.querySelector. And here we can select the input. Let's see if we have added here an ID. No, we didn't. Therefore, let's give it an ID of, let's say, input chat message. Let's take it with us. And here, let's select it using a hash. And here what we'll do is we'll say text input dot value equals an empty value. This is just so that when you actually click the send button, this happens. So we send the chat message to our server, but also this value is removed from here. Okay, so let's now, we have quickly developed some functionalities. So basically, once we type a message here, it should appear on our server and our server should log it. So we should see it here. Let's test it now. Let's say test message. Let's send. And we only see type connect. Okay. And then connect response. So let's try test 2 maybe. And now we see the test 2 message. Perhaps in the previous time we needed to reconnect here. And now we can see that we cannot set properties of null. Okay, this is because we have not saved our HTML. So once again, right now we have connected. Let's say test message. And we see our test message here. Okay, that's fantastic. So basically now we already have two types of messages, right? Because now we have sent a message or with type message, and we also have message with type connect. Therefore, let's go to our app and let's actually set up the application so that it also here does an else if. And the else if we will do on also message.type. And it will be equal to message. And basically what it will do is it will just forward this message to all other clients. So here we will say message. Message.body. So here we'll just take the message, or maybe let's add here a message, the whole message dictionary. Therefore, we know here that we also will send the message type. So basically, we'll just take the whole message. We will stringify it once again. It will send it to all of our clients. But we will send it to all of our clients. But before we do so, let's actually add some things, because what we would not have in such a case is we will not send the color, and we need actually to send the color. So we can say clients.get, and then here we use the WS to get the metadata. And here in the metadata, if you remember, when we created the new client, which is down here, we added the color. So let's retrieve the color here and let's add it to our message. So let's say message.color, and we'll then, so in the message, we'll have our color, so metadata.color. And now we'll have our color also in the message. And now we have two types of messages. Let's just add an else here. And in the else, we'll just return an error or unknown message type. Okay, so now what we should see, let's currently restart both of our applications. And now once we send a message here, we should not only see it on our server, but we should also see it here in our second chat application. I already see that we get the unknown message type. Okay, let's check that out very shortly, because here we have a type message. And the error is because of this blue, in my case, unnecessary parenthesis here around the chat message. So now when I save this, and I refresh one application, I refresh the second application, I send test message. You can now see that first off, it is shown in the server side, on the server side, but what's more important, it's also shown here on the client, so in the second client, right? So we have sent it here and it has appeared here in the console. And now if we send a message here, it will appear in the this client and also of course in the server, because the message is first sent to the server and then the server sends it to all connected clients. And this is basically how our chat application will work, right? So in the further episodes, we'll work on actually putting this value to the HTML file right here, but this is relatively simple to do. So now what we have is we have this mechanism that allows us to send a message which is received by the server from one of the clients to all of the clients. And in the next episode, we will work on further developing the message types, and in particular, we'll work on something called heartbeat. And heartbeat, or ping-pong, will be used by us to check or to let the server and the clients know if they are still connected to each other, because currently they don't know. If we just close one of the clients here, the server doesn't really know that the client has been closed. It will know this only when it tries to send a message to the client. And we'll implement a functionality which will in the end allow us to display a nice notification that in the client that it has been disconnected from the server, and also, for example, in other clients that somebody has left the chat. But this is to come in the next episode. For now, I would like to thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.